Begin this hour in Utah, where defendant Kouri Richins is accused of killing her husband, Eric. Prosecutors say the motive was millions of dollars in insurance money. Her defense says that she's being framed by her in-laws.
Kouri Richins, the Utah mother who made news for publishing a children's book about her deceased husband, Eric Richins, was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for his murder.
She wrote a children's book about grief, about a young boy who loses his father, about how to carry that loss, about healing, about hope. The book was called Are You With Me?
I just wanted some story to read to my kids at night, and I just could not find anything. I couldn't find anything that really, suited them or helped them find comfort and peace. And so, I was like, let's just write one. And so, I took things that my kids have said to me this last year, and we kind of articulated it and put it into a story and, just have hopes that it will help other kids.
The father was gone because of her. 5 times the lethal dose of fentanyl in a Moscow Mule in their bedroom. On a night she called a celebration.
Fentanyl was detected at 20,000 nanograms per milliliter. Norfentanyl was detected at 52 nanograms per milliliter.
Her name is Kouri Richins. On May 13th, 2026, the day that would have been her husband Eric's 44th birthday, a judge sentenced her to life without the possibility of parole. And the book she wrote to teach children about grief had been entered into evidence at the trial of the person who created that grief.
Based on your conviction on count 2, first-degree felony attempted aggravated murder, the court hereby sentences you to an indeterminate prison term of not less than 5 years, and that may be for life. Ms. Richins would likely serve approximately 30 years in the Utah State Prison before receiving her first parole hearing.
But there is something else about that book. Something the public did not know. Something that is now part of the court record. Welcome to Darkest Crimes. This is the complete Kouri Richins case. Eric Richins was born on May 13th, 1982. He co-owned C&E Stone Masonry in Kamas, Utah. He built things with his hands. He was respected in his community, religious, close with his family. He had 3 sons, ages 9, 7, and 5 when he passed. He married Kouri on June 15th, 2013. Eric had sensed something was wrong after the Valentine's Day incident, when he broke out in hives, lost consciousness, and revived himself with his son's EpiPen. He called 2 friends. His voice was somber, frightened. He told them, "I think my wife tried to poison me." He had already warned his family beforehand. If anything happens to me, Kouri is responsible. He knew. He could feel it. And yet he went back home. Why does a man who knows go back anyway? Because of 3 boys, ages 9, 7, and 5. Because leaving felt like abandoning them. Because believing it fully felt impossible. That choice, to stay, is the most heartbreaking fact in this case. And it cost him everything. Their prenuptial agreement had 1 clause, 1 line, signed on their wedding day. If they divorced, Kouri would get nothing. If Eric died, Kouri would get everything.
But there was one little problem, I think, that Kouri felt, that she was trapped by a prenup. When I say trapped, limited in what she would be able to walk away from that marriage with.
People always ask the same question about cases like this. Why not just get a divorce? The answer is in the math. Divorce equals 0. Debt of $7.5 million. No assets, no settlement, no exit. Death equals the estate. Death equals the life insurance. Death equals the prenup payout she had structured from the very beginning of the marriage. Between 2015 and 2017, Kouri took out 4 life insurance policies in Eric's name. Total value, close to $1.9 million. She made herself the sole beneficiary. On one $2 million policy, she replaced Eric's business partner as the beneficiary. The insurance company alerted Eric. He immediately changed it back. He went to a divorce attorney in 2020. He created the Eric Richins Living Trust. He named his sister Katie as trustee, not Kouri. He was cutting her out. The question the prosecution asked at trial: did she know? Did she know that the one exit available to her would leave her with nothing she hadn't already lost? The jury took 3 hours to answer. Kouri owned Kouri Richins Realty. In 2019, 1 project. By 2021, 15 simultaneously. Forensic accountant Brooke Carrington testified $300,000 in bounced checks, contractors unpaid across multiple projects, net loss of $900,000 even after selling properties.
There are many transactions that didn't clear the bank. They didn't clear the bank without a fee. Some of them were overdrafted and paid by the bank, and some were just returned non-sufficient funds. Most of us know that as NSF.
By March 2022, 1 day before Eric's passing, Kouri was $7.5 million in debt, $80,000 every month, just interest payments. $1.8 million owed to a single lender. On March 3rd, 2022, the night before Eric was found, she called the tax authorities. She was completely financially destroyed.
Most of her real estate loans were balloons. So she's just exhausted her funding sources, and there are very few new funding sources.
She had taken $250,000 from Eric's accounts without his knowledge, used his credit cards, drained the home equity line, tried to transfer $60,000 into her own account. The transaction bounced. Nothing left. The forensic accountant testified, even if Kouri sold everything, she still would not reach zero. The $1.4 million in life insurance money she received after Eric's passing, swallowed by debt. The prenup said, divorce equals nothing. Her debt said, nothing is already here. The only exit in the equation she had built was the clause that said, death equals everything. Robert Josh Grossman, military veteran, Iraq War. He also worked on Kouri's house flipping projects. They exchanged romantic messages, a future together. All of those messages were shown in court. Grossman cried on the witness stand. One day, Kouri asked him a question. Have you ever killed someone? 2 weeks after Eric's passing, she asked him the same question again. Did you ever kill anyone in Iraq? What did it feel like?
During that time that you were romantically involved with Miss Richins?
Yes.
During that time, did you feel that she loved you?
Yeah.
Did you exchange text messages with Kouri Richins?
Yes.
From the time you moved to Utah, about how often?
Daily, unless she was mad at me or vice versa.
On the witness stand, he said he felt guilt and sorrow about not understanding sooner. She had been asking him for permission. He just didn't know it. Early 2022, Kouri told her housekeeper Carmen Lauber, I need some pills for an investor. Lauber brought hydrocodone. Kouri refused. No, something stronger, the Michael Jackson stuff. Propofol, the sedative involved in Michael Jackson's death. Kouri knew what she was asking for. Lauber couldn't get propofol. She brought fentanyl pills instead. Fentanyl, a synthetic opioid so potent that even a tiny dose can be fatal. Eric had no history of drug use, no prescriptions, nothing. Kouri kept asking for more. Fentanyl was obtained on 4 separate occasions. She was building a stockpile. Carmen Lauber became the prosecution's star witness. She testified to every request, every exchange, every escalation. A housekeeper saw most clearly what Kouri Richins was becoming.
She had reached out to me in text message and said that her investor needed or wanted something stronger. I had texted Kouri back and told her that I had a friend that could get them.
Did there come a time when she asked you for the Michael Jackson stuff?
Yes.
Was that this time?
Yes.
The first attempt was not in Utah. During a trip to Greece, Kouri gave Eric a drink. He became violently ill. He called his sister from Greece. I think Kouri poisoned me. February 14th, 2022, Valentine's Day. Kouri bought a sandwich from Eric's favorite diner. She wrote a love note. Eric took one bite. Breathing difficulties, loss of consciousness. He revived himself with his son's EpiPen and a bottle of Benadryl. After Valentine's Day, Kouri told Lorber, "Those pills were not strong enough. Bring something else." 17 days later, the third attempt, 3 times. Greece, Valentine's Day. March 4th, the third one succeeded. March 3rd, 2022. Evening, Kouri told Eric, "I closed a big business deal today. Let's celebrate." She prepared a Moscow Mule. Eric went to the bedroom. He drank it. He fell asleep. According to statements entered into court proceedings, Kouri locked herself in the bedroom with Eric that night. Her own children's affidavits would later confirm that she was in that room the entire time. She did not discover his body in the morning. She was there. March 4th, 2022, 3:20 a.m. Kouri called 911. "My husband is unresponsive."
Mom. Yes? Go to my house. Go to my house.
What's going on?
I don't know. Something's wrong with Eric. The police came after us here. I don't know what's happening.
Paramedics arrived. Eric Richins was pronounced dead. He was 39 years old, a father of 3. The autopsy, fentanyl. 5 times the lethal dose. Illicit fentanyl, not prescribed, not accidental, orally administered, mixed into something he consumed. 5 times the lethal dose in a man with no reason to have any. After Eric's passing, Kouri became the grieving widow. She appeared on television, on radio programs, on local Utah channels. She said, "I wrote this book for my children."
I just wanted some story to read to my kids at night, and I just could not find anything. And so, I took things that my kids have said to me this last year, and we kind of articulated it and put it into a story, and, just have hopes that it will help other kids.
I searched for a bedtime story that could help them understand where their father had gone. I couldn't find one, so I wrote one myself. A children's picture book about a young boy processing the loss of his father, healing, hope, grief. In the public eye, Kouri was becoming a grief author, a mother who had turned tragedy into something beautiful. And then the court records revealed something else. Kouri Richins hired a ghostwriter. She paid $2,500. The emails are in the court record. The receipts are in the court record. The editorial notes, back and forth between Kouri and the writer, all of it, entered into evidence. The book she said she wrote for her children because she couldn't find the right words. She paid someone else $2,500 to find the words. The children's book about grief was a transaction. The story about a father's absence was commissioned. 2 days after Eric's passing, March 6, 2022, Kouri called a locksmith. Had Eric's safe drilled open. Inside, more than $100,000 in cash. Eric's sister, Katie. This was part of the trust. Kouri had no right to it. When Kouri discovered Eric had removed her from his $500,000 personal life insurance policy, she punched Eric's sister. The book about losing a father was written by someone who was paid to write it about a death she had caused while drilling open a safe that wasn't hers. In February 2026, Are You With Me?, was entered into evidence at Kouri Richins' trial. The jury read it. Then they convicted her. Investigators extracted data from Kouri's phone. If someone is poisoned, what does the death certificate say? Women's prisons in Utah. How to remotely delete cell phone data. Kouri Richins' Commerce net worth. A grieving widow searching for women's prisons in Utah. Searching for what a poisoning death certificate looks like.
In the murder trial of Kouri Richins in Utah, the mother of 3 is facing a jury for allegedly killing her husband, Eric. Prosecutors say she poisoned him with a fatal dose of fentanyl back in 2022.
A stunning turn of events for an author who wrote a children's book about the loss of her husband. The comments on Amazon praised her for helping other families handle grief. Well, now she is under arrest, charged with murdering the husband she paid tribute to in that book.
She knew what investigators would find. She was thinking about it before they started looking. March 2023. Are You With Me? Published April 2023. Good Things. Utah appearance. Smile, emotion, children. May 8th, 2023. Summit County prosecutors took Kouri into custody. Aggravated homicide. Attempted aggravated homicide. Insurance fraud, 2 counts. Forgery. Denied bail. The book she had written, commissioned, had become evidence. February 2026. Summit County Court. Park City, Utah. 8-person jury. 40 plus witnesses. 13 days of testimony. Carmen Lauber, star witness, testified to 4 fentanyl requests. The escalation, the refusal of weaker pills, the Michael Jackson stuff, and what came after. Josh Grossman testified through tears, the affair, the messages. Both times she asked what it felt like to end a life. Forensic accountant Brooke Carrington, $7.5 million. Even if she sold everything, she still would not reach zero. Forensic pathologist Pamela Sue Ulmer. No natural cause, no underlying condition. Only fentanyl, 5 times the lethal dose. The defense, maybe Eric took it himself. The defense called 0 witnesses. Kouri waived her right to testify. March 16th, 2026. 3 hours of deliberation, guilty on every single charge. May 13th, 2026. Eric Richins would have turned 44 years old today. His family sat in a courtroom instead. His father, his sisters, his brother-in-law, and the written statements of 3 boys who no longer had a father. Eric's sister, Katie Richins Benson, said, "Today is Eric's birthday. I am here because he cannot be. We all lost him because of someone he should have been able to trust. Please, do not let these children live thinking she might come after them." As Eric's sisters read their statements, as they described the grief, the loss, the damage done to his children, Kouri sat at the defense table, making faces, raised eyebrows, eye rolls, a smirk directed at her attorney. The court gallery noticed. Eric's family noticed. She did not look at them, not once. 3 statements were read, written by Eric's sons. They used her first name, not Mom, Kouri. One son wrote, "She took my dad away from me." Another son wrote, "If she gets out, she will come after us." A child writing those words to a judge about his mother, asking the court to lock her up forever so they could live without fear of her returning. Kouri then delivered her own statement. 30 minutes, addressed only to her own children. She did not acknowledge Eric's family. She told the court, "I will never stop loving Eric." The man the jury found she poisoned to 5 times the lethal dose, over several months. She told her sons, "Be like your dad." She told them to be like the father she took from them. She said, "I did nothing wrong. I will appeal. Please, just don't give up on me." Kouri cried when her brother spoke. She did not cry when her children's statements were read. The jury had deliberated for 3 hours. Judge Richard Mrazek said, "The tragedy Kouri Richins created is unbearable. A father of 3 was destroyed by his own wife. Anyone who does this should never be free again." The sentence: life without the possibility of parole, plus additional consecutive sentences on all other counts. Kouri Richins will never be released.
Tonight here, the emotional sentencing for a mother and author convicted of murdering her husband, poisoning him with fentanyl, and then writing a children's book about grief after his death.
A Utah mother who made national headlines for publishing a children's book about her deceased husband is now sentenced to life in prison for his murder.
When the sentence was read, Kouri looked at her defense attorney. She raised her eyebrows. Controlled, disbelieving, contained. Eric's family had asked prosecutors not to seek the death penalty. Eric's father explained why. Life in prison is a greater punishment than death. The judge heard that and sentenced her accordingly. Are You With Me has been pulled from sale. Amazon, every retailer, gone. A book written by a paid ghostwriter about the grief she commissioned from the death she caused. No longer in the marketplace. Eric Richins' 3 sons are now in the care of his family. The aunt who stood in that courtroom, the grandparents who sat in those seats. They had one request, all 3 of them, written in their statements to the judge. We just want to feel safe. The judge heard them. Subscribe to Darkest Crimes. Drop a comment. A woman who professed to love her husband poisoned him 3 times over several months. Hired someone else to write the grief book about it. Then sat in a courtroom making faces while his son's statements were read aloud.